the first piece of equipment is the Offcourt Offcourt medicine ball. It's 2 kilos and look, it bounces. So it's got that nice bounce for you to be able to use different activities. The one I'm going to show you today, I've had a lot of success with these players, is called the med ball elbow activity. So the elbows are actually, it's like they're attached to their body. You can tie a jumper or a sweater around somebody's ribs just to hold it in place. But it looks like this. So your partner will throw it out to you and you'll run out, you'll keep the elbows here and you'll fire it around like that. Okay, and again, so now we'll just go a little quicker and we can go a little bit further. So this time I'll throw it back on the full and really use the power of my hips. And then I've got about 8 seconds to transfer that information, okay? So what I want to do now is get my racket straight away and provide that kinesthetic learning into the stroke. So now I can really isolate and focus on firing that hip around and really getting it there as quick as I can, just like that. So you can see the benefits immediately of just feeling that transfer of that heavier 2 kilo med ball into that stroke.
See there in that activity, rather than me, even as a warm-up activity, or rather than me saying, hey, you should turn your hips when you hit your forehand, all I'm asking you to do is attach your elbows to your body and let the weight of the med ball, you feel the hips come through and around. So again, you could tie the elbows on that one as well, but there's so many things you can do to help players feel their body and get in touch with their body, because as you know, tennis is a sport that does require us to understand what we're doing, especially behind our body as well. Like a lot of people, when the backswing goes beyond their peripheral vision, okay, so where they can see, when it's back here, they sometimes can't feel if their hand is here, if their hand is here on the wrong side of the hitting. I know I've got my virtual background on. Don't be fooled. I'm not at Showcourt 3 in Melbourne. I wish I was. Right? So you can see there they can't see it. Okay, so they have to actually tap into their body and feel what's happening. The snap racket's a great example of how you can feel things. We do hip isolation activities where you fire your hip forward and you reverse the hip backwards to feel it as well. A lot of people think, oh, your hip's just got to go forward. If you can hip isolate and reverse the hip, then you really feel the hip and what it needs to do and when it needs to happen, which is pretty cool. So did you like that one?
Yeah, that one was really good.
Yeah, I think you might even use that one this week. You never know.
Yeah. So we already kind of talked about this next one a little bit. You were talking about the importance of mindset and mental strength. But out of the main 4 being technique, tactics, fitness, and physical strength, and mental strength, what would you say if you could grade them on a list from most important to least important? What would you recommend kids to work on?
So that's a really great question. And I think it's a hard one to answer. So thank you for pushing my brain on this question, because I really do think that when we put the player at the center of the learning, the scale will be different for different stages and ages. So sometimes you might need to focus more on your technique, etc. The one thing that I will say is I am a holistic coach. So holistic means that I'm always considering all 4 things. Okay. So even if I'm doing a technical drill, like let's say the forehand, let's say that med ball forehand rotation, hip isolation. So we're trying to encourage the hips as part of the mechanics of the stroke. I always believe there should be a tactical objective linked to that technique. So, for example, if you're going to, and I'm going to ask you this question, you ready? You ready for your question? If you're going to hit your forehand cross court, do you think you need to, do your hips need to turn more or less?
I would say more.
Correct. Now, if you weren't thinking tactically, if you were just doing that med ball activity, but you weren't thinking tactically, your hips just might move wherever they want to move. Whereas if you're always thinking, this is, you know, like, for example, in pro tennis in men's, they hit the ball cross court 3 times and then they go down the line once on average. Okay. The women, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? How many times do you think the women on average go cross court before they go down the line? Have a guess.
I would say the woman. I have no idea. I would say maybe 2 and like 2 cross court, 1 down the line, or.
Stop there. Stop there. Stop. Not all. Well done. High five. Yeah, nice, nice, good. I love that you just had a go, right? So you just always in life, just remember, have a go, have a guess, and now you'll remember it. See, if I just gave you the answer, you might not remember it, right? So there's an example of one of my coaching philosophies. So basically, I always believe in the tactical objective. You know, the physicality is always linked. I mean, how you move out to the ball is something, you know, and I always start and finish an activity in what I call home base, right? So I never say recover. Mateus, why aren't you recovering? I would have coached like that in chapter 1 of my life. Not anymore, right? I say home base. Where's home base? What have you got to remember? Where have you got to go, right? And we start and finish an activity always at home base. It's a very Spanish philosophy, that as well. But so what I'm trying to say is, so I've spoke a little bit about, let's say it was a technical activity, but it has a tactical objective, and then the physicality was always linked in. But here's my number one tip. Tennis builds character. Tennis is a problem-solving game. Tennis reveals your character. When you are under pressure, it reveals who you are. So we have an obligation as parents, as coaches, and you as players, okay, to always work on mindset skills. Doesn't matter how old you are. Like, for example, my little red ballers, orange ball and green ballers, when they shake hands, well, I should say pre-COVID, when we actually used to shake hands, we would say, thank you for making me a better player. You had to thank your partner for making you better. Like, that's a philosophy. Okay. And I really passionately believe in building life skills through tennis. And that, so maybe I'll put that at number 1, because as you said, it's our dream to play pro. Okay. If we don't, we play college, which is what I did. I went to Middle Tennessee State University on Division I scholarship. And if, you know, that doesn't happen as well, we go into a career, we go into the workforce. One thing that I always do, like I put my thumb, my middle finger and my index finger together. And when they touch, I say head, heart and gut, I can do it. That's an affirmation. Trust me, when I gave my TEDx talk on unleashing female potential, okay, check it out if you haven't seen it, right? I was so nervous. What do you think I was doing? I was firing off my anchor, always head, heart and gut. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it, right? That's what I learned through tennis that then helped me, and it helps me as a speaker today. So these are things that you know, so important that you do and you practice under pressure and fall in love with pressure, because pressure, it's always going to be there. In life, there's always pressure. So embrace it, learn how to love it, learn how to enjoy it, and do the best you can. Do you have an anchor?
Sorry?
Do you have one? Do you have an anchor? Do you have like a physical trigger, like to help you stay in the moment, like pressing your dampener, or the
I would probably say fixing the strings after a point would probably be my go-to, or
okay.
the towel. Yeah.
Can I help you with that? Do you mind?
Yeah.
So I love fixing the strings, and usually when you're fixing the strings, you're thinking tactically, right? You're thinking tactically, this is what I got to do on the next point, rah. Now, right before your ritual, which is the number of times you bounce the ball, or it could be your return of serve split step, okay? One thing that I invite you to try is right before you go into that position, maybe you pull on the end string only. So you might pull on that string and you might just say, I've got this, or I am ready, or I am here, or I am now, right? Because tennis is a game where we have to be in the moment. If you're thinking too much, as you know, or not enough, it's pretty difficult. So you might touch the vibration dampener. You might put your hand in the throat, or you might. So fixing your strings is good, and using the towel if you've got too high with your emotion is good. But right before you play the point, you want to be thinking about nothing. As in, you've already done your thinking. You've fixed your strings, right? So now you want to just let the point play the way that you know that you can play it. So you have to be in the moment. So picking an anchor, like just one string, so the end string, the top string, the bottom string is an anchor that helps you to remember to say something like, I've got this, or any of those ones that I mentioned. So you know what I'm going to ask you, don't you? As a result of us spending this time together this morning, would you be prepared on our little show here today to pick an anchor and one little short, sharp statement that you could say to yourself?
So I would choose as my anchor probably pulling the outside of the string before
Okay.
you pull it, and say probably vamos. Like
Say the word again.
Vamos. Like
Oh, vamos. Okay, that's good. Now, as your mindset coach, that's your last word, but you need a little short, sharp sentence before it that says I.
I got this. I can do this.
Yep. Which one? Which one do you want?
I got this.
All right. I got this. Vamos. I got this. Vamos. Got it? All right. When you pull on that outside layer of string. Now, I'm going to hold you accountable to that. And do you think that you just try it once, and if you lose the match, then it doesn't really work? Or how long do you think you might need to try? How many months do you think you might need to implement this for?
Oh, I would probably say try it out maybe anywhere from like 3 weeks to like a couple of months, I would say. 6 months?
Nice. So in 6 months' time, right, you're going to be sending me an email on how it's going for you, okay? I expect that of you, right? Because, this is 1 hour of our life that we'll never get back. Never. We're never going to get this back. Did you know that? That's 1 hour, right? So to make it worthwhile, imagine if you just added, because you said to me before the call that one of your areas for development is mindset. Okay, so very common, right? But imagine at your age, imagine if you can really nail this side string. I've got this, vamos. Imagine. And imagine then, even in practice, thank you for asking this question, because I'm so, as you can probably tell, a little bit passionate about anchoring and affirmations. It's my number one go-to strategy for my clients, okay? But the most important thing, let's go back to kinesthetic learning for a minute. Imagine trying a kinesthetic activity, okay? Then imagine doing the activity. Then imagine firing off your anchor and putting it under pressure. Because if you put something under pressure, most people go, oh, it goes out the window, right? And then you have to start the process again. But imagine if you fire off your anchor, you trust your body because you've just felt whatever it is you need to do, and then you just let it happen. Interesting. I invite everyone to explore that and be super curious. I always say, Matthias, you don't have to agree with anything that I say. You don't have to do it, right? You just have to be super, super curious. Imagine what might happen in your game if you actually did do that for the next 6 months.
So, finally, what would be your top tip to give kids watching this interview today?
I would love kids to ask themselves, how do I learn best? So when the teacher is in the classroom, and I guess there's been so much virtual teaching, do they learn best when the teacher shows a video? Do they learn best just by listening to the teacher? Do they learn best by just when the teacher says, here's an activity, you do it, or you draw it, or you do this? I have a lot of success with my clients. We have this activity called the mind monster, and you draw your mind monster. And when you draw your mind monster, it has like these, the comments that say you're not good enough, and why do you keep hitting that ball in the net, and all this. Oh, you list all your mind monsters negatives, but underneath all of that, the mind monster has a positive intent. So you flip it into these positive little state. And in fact, why don't I show you what a mind monster looks like? Are you up for that? The mind monster is an activity that we do where we have kids actually draw the mind monster, because, you know, the little voice inside your head, the one that sometimes tells you that you're not, you know, that you're not very good, that one, we've all got it, right? But it's about embracing it. So we draw it and we give it a name. So this is Pilbert, okay? And Pilbert has a message for the player. And what we do is we work on turning those negative messages into positive messages. So it's just a great little exercise, and I'll show you one more. This one's called the Joy Stealer. Okay, so this is another cute one. Another look at the tennis player here. Look at the cloud, you know, in front of the blocking the sun. How will you ever achieve X if you can't even, right, Y? Does that make sense? So in terms of the top piece of advice, so back to that, is explore how you learn best. Okay, embrace your mind monster so that you can enjoy the battle of competition, and ultimately we want to fall in love with that battle of competition. So give yourself a mindset skill to be able to execute kinesthetic learning, field-based learning. And of course, Kalindi Denifer from Oncourt Offcourt is my US sponsor, and they are the leaders in training aids. So please check out their tools, because one of the reasons we created the Kinesthetic Learning Academy was to help parents and players practice at home in between the weekly lesson or whatever it might be. And that there's no such, you know, more important time than during these COVID years, and how we now have reinvented our relationship with training to do these field-based activities at home. So I think we've got some pretty cool codes. If anyone's watching, I think we've got 10 off, I believe, as part of the Kinesthetic Learning Academy. I'm sure you can put that in your notes to get $10 off, and it's only 80 videos. I think it's 90 bucks minus 10. There you go, $1 a video. Bargain, absolute bargain. But top tip is to explore that so that you can strengthen your character and that inner voice that you have, because I've loved this interview so much. Your energy and your smile is radiating, and I have no doubt if you bring who you are onto the court, you'll go great places. So you can do it. Vamos.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much, Emma. It's been great having you. Thank you for your time. If you guys want to check out more, if you guys want to learn more about the Kinesthetic Learning Academy, we will add that link at the end of the video. So yeah, thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you. Hope to see you next time.
Thanks, you too.